healing shouldn't be reserved for veterans only or whoever. Trauma is trauma. If something is hurting you, it's hurting you. And that's significant, and you deserve to heal. So if I don't say this enough, let me say this right now. My mission is to heal anybody who seeks it. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome aboard the MAX Afterburner podcast, brought to you, powered by the No Fallen Heroes universe and Maverick Mind. Brought some merch into the studio here and our microdoses. So head to getmaverickmind.com. We got our original OG lid. So if you watched, it was CBS SEAL Team, then they moved to Paramount. So my brother from another mother, AJ Buckley, each season his character Sonny on SEAL Team had a hat for that season, and last season it was the No Fallen Heroes Foundation. He's on our advisory board. I took him flying in our L-39 Albatross, and it's so funny, man. We looked at each other. I'm like, I wonder if we're related. He's like, Whiz, we're both named Buckley. We both come from County Cork, Ireland, probably. And then obviously we have our Maverick Mind hats and merch. GetMaverickMind.com. We got our lids. We got the camo lid, the dark camo, and then we have the white camo lid. Portion of all this goes to fund healing retreats, folks, for our veterans, first responders, and family members. And obviously, Maverick Mind. We have so much good news to talk about today on the healing front. We also have fantastic news to talk about on the war front. Now, that might hit some of you a little weird, because I'm going to address some folks who've just, of course, random folks taking some shots at me like, oh, Wiz, you're celebrating war or military or this or that, and how can you're a hypocrite because you talk about healing and the medicine and then you're doing this stuff. Well, I'm gonna address those folks, but we'll lead with the good. But on the good, the medicine, folks, get maverickmind.com. Morning brief, folks. 100% legal, all natural, some incredible ingredients. I wake up full of gratitude. I take 2 of those, knock out my morning meditation. Again, gratitude. I woke up, beautiful bride, smoking hot bride, my kids, a roof over my head, running water. Man, we are blessed. I'll go knock out my 60-minute hot vinyasa, and I am set for the day, man. I am right as the mail. 5 days on, 2 days off. Okay. That's for the morning. Then at night, man, I used to have problems sleeping. Maverick Mind night duty. I take 1 or 2 of these about an hour before bed, sleep like a baby, deep REM sleep. I do some booger eating on my Apple Watch and that health app. And man, I get fantastic sleep. The dreams are good. This ain't no melatonin. I couldn't stand melatonin when I was flying for FedEx, man. Bad dreams, just awful. So people swear by the night duty, folks. And again, I do that 5 days on, 2 days off, because you just give yourself a break. All natural, folks. GetMaverickMind.com. Grab some merch. If you grab some merch, take a picture for me. Put it on social media. Tag the foundation. Tag me, because I'd love to spread the word, because the merch is a conversation starter, especially the psychedelic fighter pilot. Let's start with the good. Because there's good in everything, man. Even if there's bad, there's good, right? Let me just read you the headline from a couple days ago. I mean, this is, man, when's the last time I talked to you guys? Well, let me start with some awesome good. Stanley Cup champs, South Florida, your Florida Panthers, 2 years in a row. What was it, 54 up, 2 years, or last year, what was I, 54, 55? In my 54 or 55 years on the planet, I had never seen a Stanley Cup parade or celebration on a beach. Suck on that, 51st state, Edmonton Oilers. Wow. We are a juggernaut hockey team down here in South Florida. Why? Our taxes don't suck. Canada, other blue shitholes in this country. So there's your lesson learned, right? Don't tax your citizens to death. They bust their ass to make money to provide for them and their families, and you want to take half of it? No, not down here in the great state of Florida, man. The free state of Florida. I mean, during COVID, everybody freaked out for about 2 weeks. But down here in South Florida, after everybody freaking out for 2 weeks, everybody peeked their head out and like, okay, we're done with this. We're going to live. And we did. And it was fantastic. But man, the Florida Panthers, I don't want to jinx us. I'm going to start it now. 3-peat. I mean, I was happy with one last year. Most of you saw us sitting behind. It's incredible. We had a suite for 3 years. The Buckleys, 4 years. Us buying the suite 4 years ago started this run. I am taking credit for it. The first year we had the suite, President's Cup, even though we fell to the curse of the President's Cup, right? I think it's 2013, 2014. President's Cup is the team that finishes with the best record for the season. You get the President's Cup. I think it was the Penguins in 2013 was the last time a President's Cup winner actually won the Stanley Cup. So it was a jinx. But as we went along, Stanley Cup Finals versus Vegas, loss. Stanley Cup Finals last year versus Edmonton, victory. Stanley Cup Finals against Edmonton, victory. But last season, it was the last season for our suite. And man, it's a business, folks. Always remember it's a business. The Panthers wanted as much for the Stanley Cup playoffs for the suite as the entire season. I'm like, okay, that's a little much. So we got, 3 seats right behind the Panthers bench for the finals last year. And we had I loved getting texts from people saying, hey, look, we see. I was wearing my merch, man. So we had that Maverick Mind merch going behind the bench there. But man, it is a business. I mean, it's what I'm getting at with the 3-peat is Brad Marchand came from Boston, our arch nemesis, and unbelievable to see Brad Marchand. And as he performed in the play, he showed up here, wins a cup. Hopefully we're keeping him. Hopefully we're keeping Sam Bennett. I don't know about Ekblad, the traffic cone. We'll see. But man, if we keep Marchand and Bennett, we might 3-peat. My Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl last year, and Kansas City stopped all that type of stuff. So anyway, good stuff. I forgot we haven't talked in a while with the Panthers. Now, that's good news, obviously, for us down here. But let's just get airborne, Whiz, and get to the better news. 2 days ago, in a congressional hearing under oath, RFK Jr., the Secretary of HHS, let me just read the headline. RFK says Trump administration could provide psychedelic therapy to military veterans within 12 months. I'm going to pause for effect. Man, it has been a fucking grind for the past 4 years. It's been a grind, man. This has been a lot of work. It ain't even close to being over. We're not even near the end of the beginning, folks. But to read that headline, the last 4, folks, my 4-year anniversary of the medicine was last month. I went from the border to the Beltway, meeting with the VA secretary, man. But before that, man, it was tough. I got it wrong. The parties have flipped. I thought Biden, Harris, Democrats, mala beads, drug rugs, hippies, LSD, no war. They'd be legalizing psychedelics with the stroke of a pen. I got it wrong. Ain't no problem with me admitting I'm wrong. They are in bed with Big Pharma. They are pro-war. Man, the parties have switched. So the past 4 years sucked. And here we are. Me meeting the VA secretary, shaking that guy's hand. Secretary Collins looking me in the eyes, Whiz, if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be us, and it's going to be now. So the headline on my Instagram, @officialWhizBuckley, after I posted RFK saying psychedelics for veterans in the next 12 months, here's the other headline I want to share with you. Single dose of magic mushrooms provides 5 years of depression relief, researchers find. What researchers? The Ohio State. New study finds 67% of depressed patients still in remission long after treatment, as experts urge caution. Shut the fuck up. Ladies and gentlemen, that makes my skin crawl. An expert in a lab coat with a beaker who's never sat with the medicine? Enough. I'll take the opinion over a medicine woman in the middle of the Amazon whose families have been doing this for millennia. Experts urge caution, comma, from the pharmaceutical industry. Experts urge caution. If you got a bunch of schooling and letters on the wall and nice frames and you've never sat with the medicine, I don't care what you have to say about just about anything, but especially the medicine. Let's say it's bullshit, 67%. Let's say it's half. Do you know Spravato? What is that? Esketamine or whatever? Like 12% effective for treating. My God, folks, we're used to celebrating single digit or low double digit percentages of drugs helping people for whatever reason, and they don't help. There's no money in healing, folks. Big pharma needs money. They need customers. They don't need healed people. I'm going to say this again. Single dose. This isn't you taking a medication for the rest of your life and paying Pfizer, Moderna, Eli Lilly, Janssen. Single dose of magic mushrooms provides 5 years of depression relief. Are you serious? Ladies and gentlemen, that headline I just read to you is a felony. You do mushrooms, they'll throw you in jail. It's a Schedule I drug, Whiz, which means no therapeutic use and a high risk of addiction. I was going to say it's comical. It's not comical. It's not funny anymore. No therapeutic use and a high risk of addiction is a cigarette and alcohol, 100% legal. 100% legal. Psilocybin? Oh, you're going to jail. What the actual fuck are we waiting for? I should have done a better prep before I came in for today. I was like, oh man, I got to write some notes down. I never do that. But how many, you Google it right now or ChatGPT it, how many Americans in this country are suffering from depression? It's got to be, if 40 million Americans suffer from alcohol use disorder, let's just start with 40 million. Because if you're suffering from alcohol use disorder, you're probably depressed too. 67%. Now, when I posted that, I got a lot of questions. Clearly, folks, this was a heroic dose, right? There's a microdose, shameless plug, getmaverickmind.com, so let's step through this. Microdose. You shouldn't feel anything. It's called subperceptual. I jokingly tell people I know I'm microdosing because if, God forbid, I'm stuck on traffic on I-95 in South Florida at 3 and it's a parking lot, I don't want to get out of the car with a high-powered rifle. I'm at peace. And that's usually when I go, wow, I'm actually, that's right, I took my microdose this morning. So you shouldn't feel anything. If you take 2 or 3 of these and you're like, I'm feeling a little elevated of happiness, dial it down. You're the pilot in command of your body, not me. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I do. So that's a microdose. And there's little, industry slang for in between. Like there's a recreational dose, there's a this dose. Let's talk about a macro. If this is a microdose, a macro dose, a lot of people call it a heroic dose. Why? Because you're about to do some work. I think the study said it was a heroic dose of maybe 5 grams of, I forget the strain. The Ohio State, Google it. You don't listen to me. Go do your own stuff, man. Trust no one, assume everybody's lying, and go do your own. That's what I do. So to read that headline, 4 years ago, Whiz, again, I hate getting too political, but Joe, Mumbles McShitty Pants and Kamala, where were you for 4 years? Since 9/11, over 160,000 veterans decided to check out by their own hand. It's an absolute horror. Approximately 7,000 lost in combat. More lost in training and accidents and stuff. Again, I hate using vague numbers because each one of those was a perfect soul in life. So my apologies. But what I'm getting at is we can do some work overseas. We're losing the war at home. We're going to talk about Operation Midnight Hammer and my brother Raising Cane here in a little bit because I'm going to answer some critics from the backbench taking a couple shots, which I don't mind. I love being called out, man. But ladies and gentlemen, what an incredible place we are. I've already detailed that back in August, it seems like a lifetime ago. Back in August, last August, my God, we're almost coming up on a year. It's almost July and August will be. So almost a year ago, Joe Biden's FDA denied the Lykos application for MDMA for therapeutic use. 10, 11 people on the AdCom, the advisory committee, ties to Big Pharma. Now, you guys know me. We should have led with the plants. Ain't no club drug stigma with ibogaine. You're not going anywhere for a couple days, let alone a club. So MDMA, they had some air cover to deny it. That was that FDA. What a difference a year can make, right? Donald Trump's FDA commissioner last month, when I was up in D.C. meeting with the secretary, said psychedelics are a top priority for this administration. Did you hear what I just said? Not a peep out of Democrats for 4 years as veterans, first responders, and family members are checking out or suffering in silence. This administration. They don't. I'm going to call them out. That's what I'm not some raging hyperpartisan. They fail. That's how I got to meet Secretary Collins. I called him out on Twitter. I'm like, right? If you're gonna throw a knife, make sure there's a note attached to it. Threw a knife and I had notes attached to it, and then I brought him and met him in person in D.C. But folks, I am going to take a little bit of a break right now and just look backwards and go, wow. It was tough, man. There were some dark moments for me in the past 4 years. When I got that tune up in Costa Rica with some iboga, first time I had sat with the actual root bark, man. I had done ibogaine before, which is an alkaloid extracted from iboga. I sat with the root bark. Me and my beautiful bride went down to Awaken Your Soul in Costa Rica, and it's a little fear factor-ish, man. Go to a carpenter shop. Go grab a handful of sawdust and shove it into your mouth. That's your iboga experience. And I did 3 or 4 of those. But it was dark. What was that, 2022? It was tough. Why? Because I thought I was failing. Got back from healing with Marcus and JT and JJ and Robert Gallery. Have you seen Robert Gallery, man? God, what an incredible human being. He was out at Psychedelic Science and started his own foundation to get NFL, his brothers in the NFL with brain issues to ibogaine, man. Real quick, let me address that. Psychedelic Science 2025. I didn't go. We had, we were invited to speak on the Veterans Day by my brother Jesse from Heroic Hearts, and I'm like, I'm good. You know what, Doc? Kristen, our chief medical officer, Dr. Kristen, call sign Rosie Barnes. I'm like, Rosie, you want to speak for us? And she did. And she did a great job. But I'm going to tell you, man, I'm done. I'm done with the conferences. So Psychedelic Science 2023, we spent $15,000 to sponsor the Veterans Dinner. Okay. Everything happens for a reason. Obviously, I believe that to my core. I had an incredible moment briefing my experience. I swear I felt God. Well, I feel God all the time. even in my lowest moments, about my sister, my father, when I was in it, man. And it was clearly, from what I'm told, it was a very powerful speech. Chicken, Denver firefighter who was in the audience, who had never met me, he said he got in the car, called his wife, like tears in his eyes, like, I'm doing this. You needed to listen to this guy. And he did. And now he's putting the ladder down and helping his fellow firefighters out in Colorado heal with these medicines. But $15,000, man. And they promised a lot of stuff that we'd get for sponsoring that dinner. The first thing I wanted because I get off stage and Rick Doblin's give me a hug and everybody's like, oh my God, that was the most powerful thing we've ever heard type of thing. I'm like, well, okay. I'm robbing a village somewhere of an idiot, but thanks for I asked probably 50 times over a year and a half. Why do I know where it ends? I'll tell you. Because they actually took like a 1-minute clip, one of the most powerful parts of my speech, and put it on the was it MAPS or Psychedelic Science Instagram. And it got like, I don't know, 150, 200,000, views or something like that. I'm like, hey, whoa, can I get a copy of my speech? We kind of paid a lot of money, and cricket. Reached out to the heavies, had Cody and Daniel reach out to the heavies. I shit you negative, folks. I reached out to everybody in that organization to try and get a copy of that speech. Not a fucking word. Until, hey, No Fallen Heroes, would you like to sponsor Psychedelic Science 2025? Whatever it was. For this amount of money. A lot more than the last one. I'm like, absolutely not. And not only no, but I'd tell everybody else that I know not to. Whoa, why? And this person clearly was different from anybody in the past. And they're like, whoa, let's look into that. Within an hour, the speech is magically in my inbox. So very bad taste in my mouth with Psychedelic Science and MAPS. It's a business, folks. Did you see what they charge for some of the tickets? It's a business. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, here's what I'm getting at. Because people are like, oh, you didn't go to Psychedelic Science? I'm like, $15,000 to sponsor I don't know I'm glad it happened. Cool speech that a lot of people, it's 2.5 million views on my Instagram. If it's helping people, it helped Chicken, great. But ladies and gentlemen, no. I could heal four veterans at Experience Onward in Oregon. I could heal, sadly, only 2 vets or somebody down in Mexico. Why do I say sadly? Folks, I paid $3,500 4 years ago to do ibogaine. These clinics have jacked up the prices. Clearly, they are for-profits. They're not a not-for-profit. I guess I can't, as a businessman, I can't throw shade. As a chairman of the No Fallen Heroes Foundation, I will absolutely throw shade. It's disgusting. $7,000 to $10,000 to do what I did 4 years ago. My God, the Biden inflation really hit those clinics. Are you kidding? Same cardiologist, same EKG, same nurses, same everything, but your expenses exploded, quadrupled, tripled. Come on, man. I'm not so feeling a little, and it's sad because there are so many people on our list. I would prefer they do ibogaine, and we can't afford it. It's disgusting that I have to make these type of decisions. Like, well, so if it's $2,500 or whatever for a veteran in Oregon or Colorado, sadly, for people who want to go do ibogaine, we're like, hey, we'll give you a grant for $2,500, but you got to eat the rest of it. Ain't too many people running around out there, folks, with $6,500 to do. So anyway, I don't want to get dragged down with that, but I had to get off my chest. I'm not happy with a lot of these clinics in Mexico. And I'm telling them, and I told let's just say I told one of them, like, you better get while the getting's good, and you clearly are, because ibogaine will be in the. Why would I go to Mexico in 2-3 years from now when I could do ibogaine at a clinic? And thank you, Texas and Governor Abbott, with your $50 million ibogaine initiative. So Mexico clinics, clearly price gouge while the getting's good, because, it ain't going to last forever, fellas, and I'm not happy about it. Anyway, so back to Psychedelic Science. Oh, I was with the 15 grand. Why would I spend, ladies and gentlemen, it's an echo chamber. It's the same people they pick to give the same talk. It's a self-licking ice cream cone at this point. The fuck, I'm good. I'd rather take the 15 grand and heal people. I'd rather be in the trenches doing the work than everybody patting each other on the back. So if you don't see me or our foundation at these Aren't We Great conferences, I mean, it's great to see your bros and your sisters and, hug and all that type of stuff. But man, no. It's just economically dumb, in my opinion, especially when we're struggling for donations to do our retreats. So just not an expense I had any interest in doing, especially after the 2023 year and a half wait for the video. Okay. So, man, we've come so far, but it really is the end of the beginning. And I'm going to remind people, and it's interesting when I say this, because I kind of get a look sometimes like, hey, what's your 3 to 5 year plan for your foundation to go away? I got a couple day jobs, man. Susie and I put money into last month. We got 5 new lifetime members at Top Gun Options. It's about a 15,000. I think it's 20, but I was giving lifetime members a break last month at Top Gun Options for 15. And I said, hey, I'll tell you what, out of the 15 for the Top Gun Options lifetime membership, donate 5 to the foundation. You get a tax write-off and you're saving a vet and a half. And then the rest to TGO. So we got 5 new lifetime members last month. That's 25 grand. So I'm actually, kind of losing some money in some of the things I do to fund our foundation. But I don't want to be doing this. When I see RFK saying, hey, psychedelics for veterans in 12 months, that would be my number one mission objective, aside from healing, trying to help as many people as I can heal, is to go away. Go surfing, go skiing, retire. And I wonder if the commanding officers of some of our other sister charities would say this. Be very leery of people running foundations that's their source of income, man. Not that people don't deserve to be paid for their time and their efforts, but there's. I'm going to leave it at that too. Let's just move on from that part of the discussion. But what I'm getting at is 12 months psychedelics for veterans. Clearly that's not going to happen. I mean, I love RFK and his zeal and I God, let's put that out there as a mission objective and try and hit it, knowing there's no way in hell the VA is ever going to be able to do that. It's still a Schedule I drug. Mr. President, if you're listening to me, why you have a printer next to your desk with a big box of pens signing executive orders like they're going out of style. Where's the executive order rescheduling these medicines? I am lost, President Trump. Can somebody get to him and look him in the eyes and say, Mr. President, because he's America first, isn't he? Mr. President, our veterans are sneaking to Mexico. Oh, my God. His face would probably melt off. Mr. President, our veterans, I'd talk to President Trump. I am forced to take our veterans to Mexico to heal their trauma they incurred serving this one. That dude would probably flip his wig and here comes the executive order and it would be signed within minutes. Now, obviously, taking our veterans now to Colorado. But folks, that was 2 years ago, right? For the first 2 years of my foundation, I'm going to Costa Rica. I'm going to Mexico, which would infuriate me. I'm leaving this country to heal veterans that incurred trauma serving this one. Man, that would piss me off. Thank you, Oregon. Thank you, Colorado. Now, thank you, New Mexico. Thank you, Governor Abbott in Texas. But what are we doing, President Trump, at the federal level? Sign something. Reschedule. Don't make them legal, baby. Go Schedule 3, like ketamine, doctor's prescription. You could do that today. I don't know what's going on, man. And you guys can tell I'm very passionate about this because I don't get it. Or actually, maybe Whiz, you do. Because, I stopped going to D.C. 22-ish, right? Because of the congressman who shall remain nameless behind closed doors. I love what you're doing, Whiz, but you're going to have a problem with the big pharma and the alcohol and tobacco folks. Oh, now I got it. I would like to believe that RFK, President Trump, is not beholden to big pharma, alcohol, and tobacco. As a matter of fact, RFK is wanting to make advertising on television, social media, or in the press illegal for pharma companies. Oh my God, that would be financial Armageddon for the cable and news networks. Have you ever seen a single story? Tonight on ABC News, we're going to be critical of Pfizer. You've never seen that. Why? We'll be right back after this with more from ABC News. Hi, take this medication, and I'm going to talk for the next 3 minutes about how it's going to kill you. Sponsored by Pfizer. They spent, $50 billion last year, in a year, folks, on advertising. They sponsor these. It's funny watching like CNBC in the morning squawk box, Moderna. I'm like, no wonder I never see you say a negative thing about pharma. So I'm on this rant because, Mr. President, I'm fairly certain you're not tied to them. And RFK is like Jesus and the money changers right now, wanting to smash all of these pharma companies. And I have close friends that are friends with the president. I'm maneuvering in the network, man. You're about to hear. I'm very good friends with Dan Kane. One of my close friends is best friends with Kash Patel, the FBI director. So I'm maneuvering, but it's not quick enough. I got a text the other day from a mom. We're losing veterans, folks. Again, I hate putting this out to the universe because it's a horror to even think it. But if, God forbid, 22 children were being killed every day, not once a year, folks, that's enough of a horror. 22 a day, this country would flip the fuck out. Since it's veterans, we get a little shrug and, oh, thank you for your service, and somebody should help those veterans. What are we doing? President Trump, act. It's a stroke of the pen, man. It's the DEA this and the rescheduling that. Do it. The guy tends to, I'm signing this, and if it's not legal, I'll see you in court, kind of like Biden used to do. There were some huge decisions today by the Supreme Court, by the way, and he kind of swept a lot of them. So act. When it comes to human life and people dying, our heroes dying, how about we move a little faster than more cautious, especially with medicines that have been used for thousands and thousands of years. We in the West are so full of ego. Look at the medicines we just discovered. We need to study these a lot more. What? Shut up. Experts caution. Yeah, okay. I'll walk around the Amazon with a medicine woman. You tell her what's wrong, what ails you, there is something on this planet that can cure you. I guarantee it. Now, all right, good. We're at halftime. Let's switch a little bit. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me lead with this. One of the reasons I truly believe the medicines remain illegal at the federal level is they can turn warriors into peacemakers. I've seen meat-eating, knuckle-dragging killers before the medicine come out the other side, and they're just revolted. I mean, they're healed, but they're like, oh, my God, I could never do that again. Pause. So for all the backbenchers throwing knives on social media at me, I will tell you there isn't a single one of those meat-eating, knuckle-dragging killers who forgets how to be violent if needed. A couple of them are like, dude, I want peace. I don't want killing. I don't want any of this stuff. However, you break into my house, you attack, you whatever. I remember. I don't want to be that guy, but I can. I'm going to read you something, and I read this a couple years ago, and it is even more appropriate based on what we're going to talk about, Operation Midnight Hammer and some other things. So listen to me, sit up straight. All the folks who are like, Whiz, how can you celebrate war or celebrate whatever? First of all, I wasn't doing any of those things, but we'll get to that. But how can you be a, quote, healer and do the medicine work and also do these others or say these other things? So I'm gonna backfill into that, but I'm gonna lead with this. You ready? The most terrifying force of death comes from the hands of men who wanted to be left alone. They try so very hard to mind their own business and provide for themselves and those they love. They resist every impulse to fight back, knowing the forced and permanent change of life that will come from it. They know that the moment they fight back, their lives as they have lived them are over. The moment the men who wanted to be left alone are forced to fight, it is a form of suicide. They are literally killing off who they used to be, which is why when forced to take up violence, these men who wanted to be left alone fight with unholy vengeance against those who murdered their former lives. They fight with raw hate and a drive that cannot be fathomed by those who are merely play acting at politics and terror. True terror will arrive at the people's door, and they will cry for mercy. They will scream and beg for mercy, but it will fall upon the deaf ears of the men who just wanted to be left alone. Extremely powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, after healing with the medicines, I hate using the word hate, but it's appropriate in this sense. I hate war. I hate violence. I don't see sex, race, flags, color, creed, fill in the blank, man, borders. I see perfect souls under meat puppets, bags of flesh and skin. We are all one. The gift of the medicine is to destroy the ego. What does ego stand for? Edge God out. The bigger the egos, the further away from source you are. So the gift of the medicine on the other side was like, oh my God, man, we literally are one. We are all the same cosmic stardust that exploded. Let there be light. This infinitely small. Did you hear that word, infinitely? Can you even fathom that? You can't, actually, as a human. I experienced infinity on the medicine. Infinitely small, infinitely hot, infinitely dense point exploded. And if you believe in the Big Bang, which most scientists do, or humans or whatever, they break up the first second of the Big Bang into like one trillionth of a second. Look it up. Don't listen to me. I watch this stuff and lying in bed at YouTube at night, like how the universe started. We all came from that. On the medicine, you feel one with all humanity and Mother Earth, the universe. I choose to use the word God. I felt that. So on the other side of the medicine, man, I want to work towards that peace. I want nothing more than to be all of us living in a commune, running around naked, feeding each other grapes, taking turns farming, and also, folks, sadly, the times that we've tried those things in our life, from Manson to Jonestown, to the Catholic Church. No, but, well, seriously, folks, how many millions, probably hundreds of millions of humans on this planet have been killed in the name of religion and my God's better than yours. Organized religion is a horror in many cases. So I want peace. I want love. I want one team, one fight. What's wrong? Well, what's wrong is not everybody thinks like that, folks. I'm of the opinion of believing our enemies. What do I mean by that? Adolf Hitler, man. Do you remember the famous, Neville Chamberlain? Was he the foreign minister, Great Britain, whatever his title was? Went to whatever, the famous quote or him movie of him. I have the piece of paper's flapping in the wind. I have a signed document from Adolf Hitler that there will be peace in our time. Hitler signed that thing and left, and that guy did that, and Hitler was like, you wouldn't believe what I told him. I said, there'll be peace in our time, and I signed this doc. Let's go invade Poland and take over the world. At least that guy lied, right? Yeah, peace in our time. I'll sign something. How about the Iranians? When, not if, we get a nuclear weapon, we're going to use it to wipe Israel and, as many of you Americans, death to America, to great Satan, we're going to try and vaporize everybody. Whoa. Some people in this country, Democrats and others, oh, no, they wouldn't. They wouldn't do something like that. You want to bet your life and existence on that? Folks, the same year my sister Monica transitioned, 241 Marines were killed in Beirut by Iranian forces. Along the way, all sorts of terrorist attacks and everything. When I think it was on the Kitty Hawk. Was I in the Gulf, or we were going or coming or whatever? 96 Iranian agents attacked Khobar Towers. It was a barracks where our airmen, Air Force personnel, 19 airmen dead. And don't forget, out of the 241 and 19 I just told you about, scores maimed. Traumatic brain injury, PTS. Just because they didn't die doesn't mean others didn't get injured. How about the 608? They have it down to a person. 608 Marines, soldiers, and sailors killed by Iranian forces in Iraq. When we were operating in Iraq, they were coming over and they were killing our troops with IEDs, direct engagements. I don't like rounding up when it comes to human life, but let's round up, folks, and say Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran, has killed 1,000 of our service personnel. Iraq didn't do that. Afghanistan didn't do that. Well, Al-Qaeda was running around in Afghanistan. I get it. We started 2 fucking wars with countries that hadn't killed a single American. Well, no, I take that back. In Iraqi, F-1, a Mirage, shot an Exocet missile by mistake and hit the USS Stark. I am wrong. But then didn't the USS Samuel B. Roberts hit a mine? I think they hit an Iranian mine and a couple sailors died there. I think the USS Cole, when it got hole blown in the side by a dude in a Boston whaler full of bombs, I think that was Al-Qaeda. But anyway, folks, here's what I'm getting at. They had 60 to 70. You need 2 to 3% enriched uranium to power your country. They had 60. Okay, you're a complete idiot if you think we're only building this nukes for peaceful purposes. Why are you burying it 300 feet under fucking ground, man? And you don't let inspectors in if it's for peaceful. Stop. I can't even talk to you if you think that a country screaming death to America, death to Israel was only trying to develop nukes for peaceful purposes. Come on, man. Grow up. Here's what I'm getting at. Again, love or hate. And if you hate somebody in this world, you got issues, man. Remember, God loves the person you hate the most on this planet the same as you. When you actually learn and believe that, your life will change, I guarantee you. But anyway, I was going to say love or hate President Trump, but listen. The man 2 months ago said, listen, Iran, I'd love to make a big, beautiful Iran. The Trump Tower on the water. Let's work together. Come on, man. Enemies forever. It's old. Let's make a deal. Let's do something. You got 60 days. Disarm that enrichment. Stop. We know you're building a nuke. Let's talk. Let's figure something out. This was the same Trump who in 2015, whenever it was, Obama's nuke deal sucked. He was ripping it to shreds. So I was starting to get a little worried with the president. The guy, a little bit of a narcissist, clearly loves deals, loves being able to get into I got a deal. Nobody does deals better than me. Beautiful deal. Big, beautiful deal. He wanted a deal with Iran, so he could say that. He gave him 60 days. Guess what happened on day 61? Now, I was at game 4 of the Panthers, man. I had to leave in the third period. Matthew and Susie stayed, went to overtime. They lost. But I had a Fox News hit that night. And so Israel struck, man, and they were going at it for a good week and a half. Okay? And allegedly, the president, again, I don't want war. I don't want, especially forever wars, no boots on the ground. But folks are copying and pasting Iraq and Afghanistan to Iran. We were lied to about Iraq. George Bush, the cokehead, not the naval aviator. 15 out of 19 hijackers on 9/11 came from what country? Say it with me. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. What's Bush do? Well, I'll invade Afghanistan then. Wait. If 15 of 19 hijackers were from America and they flew airliners into Mecca in Saudi Arabia, who do you think the Saudis would be attacking and blowing themselves up in our malls? I mean, nice job, Bush. So I get it. And then we were lied to for about 20 years by failed generals and admirals who lied to us. They just sit there in front of Congress and testify about how swimmingly things are going in Afghanistan and Iraq. Trust me. I just need some more Gucci weapon systems. Why? Because my buddy who just retired is at Raytheon, and he's giving me a job when I retire shortly. Lies. All of them. Failed generals and admirals. So this is not Iraq and Afghanistan. Be present. I don't live in the past. Okay? So the president allegedly, after Israel wiped out their integrated air defenses, wiped out their surface air missiles, it sounded like they had a Ukrainian operation. Ukraine had brought drone trucks into Russia and let them fly and hit their bombers, right? The Mossad did the same thing. They were taking out generals and nuke scientists, and holy crap, what a master class in execution. Netanyahu, Israel, they've been waiting for this, man. They've been planning this for 50 years, or at least since 1979 when they took Americans hostage. You kind of remember that, don't you? So, folks, one more time. I don't want war. I don't want any of this stuff. But that did you, and it's funny because even the liberals and media are like, I don't know anybody who would really wanted a nuclear-armed Iran. Okay, then let's talk through this. How about a surgical strike from the heartland? B-2s out of Whiteman, taking off, refueling multiple times, joining up with Growlers, E-18Gs, Navy, F-22s, F-35s, and taking out the 3 nuke sites. Ladies and gentlemen, the MOP, the Massive Ordnance Penetrator, was specifically designed for Fordo. We made this weapon for this mission, and the B-2s weren't even seen. And then 36 hours later, they're round trip, 36, they're landing back in America. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am not celebrating war. I just told you I hate it. I don't want it. However, comma, war is the ultimate failure of the human condition. It doesn't get any more of a failure than humans to have to resort to violence to settle something. It makes no sense to me. Now, let me hit you right between the eyes with this, and it might be disturbing. I don't care how it lands. If, as the ultimate failure of the human condition, you're doing your best, if it just absolutely fails and action is required, the response should be as violent and as horrific as humanly possible. So it's quick. So it's over. And both sides go, oh my God, we should not have done that. Again, for the slow people, I don't want that. But I'm not some sort of mala bead wearing drug rug dude that if somebody breaks into my home or is an existential threat, that I'm going to try and give them a hug, man. There are people who are so separate, so far removed from source, from God, there ain't no reaching them. Would love to do my best. But until a regime, an evil regime, Google the 12th Imam. What do the Iranians, the radical Iranians believe that we need to start the next world war because it'll hasten the 12th Imam's arrival and we'll all get our virgins to go to Allah or whatever it is. How do you negotiate with those people? So enough with the celebrating war. I absolutely am not. I'm celebrating the fact that not one, it sounds like on the Iranian side too, but not one casualty on the U.S. side, and the Iranians didn't even report anything. They're like, those were abandoned. I mean, we kind of knew you were coming after those. So let me get this straight. No American injuries. Everybody returns home safe. These nuke sites, if you're Democrat or liberal in the media, they're not destroyed. They weren't even damaged. If you kind of know how MOPS work, and if you listen to my brother Raising Cane's press conference showing how these MOPS work, it's not Bugs Bunny, folks. It's not going to be a big smoking hole in the ground. These things sense. Okay, I'm going through concrete now, then dirt. Okay, now it's my time to explode. 300 feet under the ground. So enough with the partisanship. Some of these people would complain it's not hot enough in hell. I can't stand it. So yeah, I'm actually going to celebrate that the United States military flew around the globe, took out its targets, nobody got hurt, and the world is a safer place. Do you understand me? I mean, these people criticizing me, there was no celebration of war in that. And if you notice, again, love or hate Trump, I really don't care. The guy got dragged kicking and screaming to this. You got 60 days. I don't want any of this. I don't. Please, 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 please. And they thought they were dealing with Obama or Biden, who flew billions of dollars, pallets of cash on unmarked airplanes in the middle of the night to the mullahs. They paid for the nuke sites. Your tax money. I'm begging for donations to heal veterans in this country, and Obama and Biden are flying money to mullahs. Fuck that. So one more time, I don't want war. I don't want boots on the ground. I want peace. But I am a child of the 80s, man. Ronald Reagan. Peace through strength. You know how you avoid war? You make the enemy think that you're just a little bit more crazier than they are. Right? For 4 years. I lost count after 100. Mumbles, McShitty Pants, and Kamala, Iranians were lobbing missiles at us. We were taking hits. There's traumatic brain injuries. There are veterans with traumatic brain injuries and injuries from Iranian attacks under Joe Biden. He never responded. The freaking Houthis. And so when you're weak, people with ego, people who are separated, people who need healing will attack you. And the medicine didn't make me a guy who's going to lay there and say, yay, attack me. What are you, stupid, man? Christ, these people, I don't get too frustrated, but and again, this isn't a lot of people who can do critical thinking don't think that way. But of course, there are some people like, oh, you're a fraud. You're a hypocrite. You're celebrating war, but you're trying to heal people. I'm not celebrating war. Nobody, who was it? General MacArthur? I forget the exact quote. He's like, man, soldiers out of everybody on this planet don't want war. We want peace because we're the ones on the front lines who have to deal with the horrors. Certainly the politicians ain't dealing with any of the horrors, nor their children, right? It's extremely rare for a politician who gets us in the war to have his sons or daughters serving in uniform, right? Right. That should be a law in this country. If you're wanting to go to war or anything like that, you have to pony up a family member. Not to be a clerk, to go to the front lines. You'd see how much more peace we'd have at that moment. So, don't want to end on a low note, but there's, look up that, the man who wanted to be left alone. I think that's Soviet or something. It's back like Dr. Zhivago type of, I think it was a Stalin. I forget the history on it. Somebody look it up and email it to me, and or I can look it up, man. But yeah, the man who wanted to be left alone. It's very powerful. The medicine gave me peace. It allowed me to see everybody for who they are, but it did not turn me into some beatnik who's just going to let bad happen to me. I'm not going to seek violence. I'm not going to want to go to war. That's why this was fantastic. Surgical strike at home. Now, this week, I actually shot for a documentary that's being dropped next week on my brother, Raisin Kane. This also shows you President Trump, how he's thinking, right? He met Raisin when he was a one-star. He was the deputy OIR, right? Operation Inherent Resolve. So he was a one-star. Trump was over there. I love the way Trump tells the story. You got to Google it and watch the clip. He's like, so this General Raisin Kane, great name. He looks like he's from Central Casting, fighter pilot, square jaw, great guy. Raisin, how do you get rid of the bad guys? And he said, well, Mr. President, if I had this big Moab bomb, I could put it on that mountain and take care of a lot of bad guys. I said, Raisin, why don't you do that? And Raisin kind of looked at the 2, 3, 4 stars, like standing behind me, giving him a look like, you should say that. So I said, Raisin, you could drop that bomb. And he did, and, took out all the bad guys. Trump loved him from like that interaction. I remember when like Susie and I were on the couch watching Trump talk like that. I'm like, oh my God, Raisin. I know Raisin. Technically, he and I worked with Raisin before I met him. Why? Look up his 9/11 story. He was down in D.C., Air National Guard, 121st Fighter Squadron. He launched the young lady and the other guy, unarmed F-16s. Hey, man, you might be ramming some jets. And then he got the other ones armed, and he was the supervisor of flying that day in D.C. You know my 9/11 story. I raced out to Naval Air Station Fort Worth, me and Gruff. We ran next door and briefed with the F-16 guys down there, and we ended up manning a combat air patrol. So Raisin and I, citizen soldiers, citizen aviators, Lexington and Concord, our nation was being attacked, and Raisin and I sprung into action. Then I met him a year or two later. We were working with a consulting company, a bunch of military fighter pilots. We'd go into companies and teach them how to brief, how to debrief, everything we were learning as a fighter pilot to make us successful. We applied it to the business world, right? Shameless plug, go to whizbuckley.com and I can give you a keynote. I can do some consulting too. So Raisin and I worked together in the civilian sector, pseudo/military, right? But he was a good businessman. He had a bunch of successful businesses. So he's a guard guy though, right? Part-timer. He, VMI dude, right? My son went to Norwich, so there's a little bit of, poking back and forth there. So here's what happened. And here's what's interesting is like, however many months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, I had an email in my draft box. Hey, Raisin just retired. He made 3 stars. He wasn't going to make 4 stars under a President Harris. I guarantee you. I'm shocked he made it that far, but Raisin is apolitical. He's a straight shooter. But he topped out, under Biden and Harris. And after he retired, I swear I had it in my inbox. I'm like, oh man, I'm going to get Raisin on the board. Got to send him an email. It's just, I forgot. And then I'm out in Oregon with Daniel. We're doing a retreat. And, breaking news, President Trump has nominated Lieutenant General, retired, Raisin Kane. I'm like, oh my God, man. My bro Raisin, chairman of the Joint Chiefs. So usually, and why is this a big deal? This is the first time in our nation's history that a retired general and a guard guy, part-timer, the president brought him back to active duty, gave him the 4-star, and he's the chairman of Joint Chiefs. Why? Because it's usually a current active duty 4-star. Well, why wasn't it? Because Trump knows the majority of them suck. In that big-ass 5-sided building, there isn't a single one of them who has won a war. There's a revolving door between the Pentagon and the defense industry. The young sergeants and privates and sailors and Marines out there on the tip of the spear, they ain't getting no revolving door to a cushy defense job, especially when they fail. Those are the guys and gals I'm trying to reach and heal. But a bunch of failed generals. So you know what Trump did? He's like, wait, where's that Raisin King guy? He just retired, and I want him. He's an outsider. He's a businessman. So he gets the business world, and he's a straight shooter. So it's funny because 2 days ago, Secretary Hegseth and Raisin were doing the press conference at the Pentagon, and he fired a shot, man. He said, I can officially confirm that at the Air Force Fighter Weapons School, there's no beach volleyball. I'm like, what the fuck you just say, man? It's funny because after he said that, my phone lit up and it was Fox. Like, hey, can you jump on after the Pentagon press conference? And I'm like, sure. And it was with Dana Perino. And whatever her first question of me was a really good question. I'm like, Dana, no. Before we go any further, I got to answer my brother Raisin's shot across the bow at us Navy guys. Well, guess what? Navy guys are actually smart because we don't build our bases in the middle of the desert like the Air Force Fighter Weapons School in Vegas. We put our bases mainly near beaches and oceans. So back at you, Raisin. So I had a little flame. I shot back at Raisin, but I got to be honest. Top Gun, the Navy Fighter Weapons School, is in the desert. It's in Fallon, Nevada. It wasn't always there. Remember when the movie came out? It was in San Diego, Miramar, Fighter Town. That's where I flew Hornets with a Marine squadron for a couple years. 2 Marine squadrons. But after the tailhook scandal, 91, Pat Schroeder and a bunch of other folks are like, it's too much fun in San Diego. You're banned to the desert. So both fighter schools are in the desert. And to be honest, there is no beach volleyball at Top Gun either. Maybe when it was in San Diego, because, man, I heard legendary stories in the officers club and, a line out the gate at the base for people in limos to, like, go to the officers club at Top Gun in the mid-'80s. But my brother Raisin, no DEI hire like General Brown before him. We're focused on my number one, him and Secretary Austin. We're focused on one of our top priorities is white rage or extremism in the ranks. What? Your top priority is not China? Isn't terrorism? Isn't whatever? No, it's this. Did you know what happened a year and a half later after they said that and they're looking into it? Out of millions, active duty, guard, whatever, it was like 50. What? I thought it was this massive problem. No, we found like 50 crazy dudes. I can't believe it wasn't a shitload more because you led me to believe with your frothing at the mouth that it was a huge problem. What a disgrace. So again, love or hate, Pete Hegseth. And hey, where's all my Signal Gate folks? He needs to be fired. Not a single word leaked about Operation Midnight Hammer. It was airtight. Washington leaks like a sieve. They're going to write books about the operational security, OPSEC around this. Not a peep. Even the Fox News Pentagon lady who's a hyper partisan's like, I've never seen this. Nobody knew anything until, it was over. So we go from Signal Gate, this guy needs to be fired, to the most successful military operation against nuke sites ever in our history. And there's crickets chirping. By the way, Pete Hegseth didn't start that Signal thread and thought it was secure. It was Mike, what's his name, Waltz or whatever, was National Security Advisor, who added accidentally the Washington Post reporter. But anyway, again, folks, there are people that will complain it's not hot enough in hell. But we got to wrap up here. But I'm going to remind you, I don't want war. I want peace. I don't celebrate war. But I'll be damned if I'm not going to celebrate American exceptionalism. America saying, hey, man, we've tried our best to negotiate. This is an existential threat to us. Do you imagine Iran putting a nuke on a container ship and just pulling into New York City and it's gone? 4 million people vaporized? Don't tell me that can't happen, folks. 9/11, never forget. We got a Muslim socialist communist who might be the mayor of New York City. Could you imagine September 12th going to ground zero as people are posting posters of their loved ones and have you seen my husband or whatever? That, hey, I'm from the future and we're going to have a radical Muslim socialist communist mayor of New York City. Never forget. Yeah, right. It's a nice slogan. And, I should have taken the Muslim thing out of that. I really don't care. I mean, I have problems with radical Republicans, radical Democrats, radical Muslims, radical Islamists. You use the word radical, I'm most likely going to have a problem with you. But the guy kind of is borderline looking at some, and of course, you dig up all the old stuff and the guy's panicking like, I said that a while ago. He's borderline radical Muslim. So I will use that in a sentence because he brings it up, not me. So anyway, we're going to end on a high note, folks. But so hopefully I answered some of my critics. And at the end of the day, I got to be honest with you, I truly don't care if you have a problem with I know who I am. I am secure in who I am. And remember, if something I say triggers you, or I say, hey, good job to the United States military, and that triggers you, I don't care. Your triggers are your responsibilities. If you're triggered by anything I say or do, just pretend I'm holding up a mirror. I invite you to reflect. What inside you caused that trigger? I didn't cause it. Your triggers are yours, not mine. I will keep doing my best to put the ladder down to help heal our veterans, first responders, and family members. I will continue to call for peace and say violence or war is almost never the answer, but if it has to happen, it has to be horrifically violent and quick. Or you get Eastern Europe, 3.5 years of a meat grinder. Conservative estimates, 1 million casualties. Did you hear what I just said? Dead, maimed, moral injuries, PTS, TBIs. My God, end that shit. There's a perfect example. The same people who criticize me are probably like Ukraine flags in their bio, like, we need to arm them more. No, we don't. Stop. And it's so funny because Trump is just so basic sometimes, like, not happy with Vlad. Stop, stop firing the missiles. I mean, there's no filter clearly with that guy. So peace, folks. I would love a hippie commune, naked, eating grapes and farming together and smoking some weed and having fun. Make love, not war. That's me. But I am also the man who wanted to be left alone. And if pushed, you're going to regret it. Period. Okay? So a lot of good stuff going on. We're heading out to Colorado for 4th of July and some fundraisers and stuff like that. Really looking forward to it. Getting out to the mountains, getting back to nature. Maverick Mind, getmaverickmind.com. Grab your night duty, sleep like a baby, take your morning brief and be centered for the day. And then, man, get our cool merch. Take some pictures, tag us on social media because all of this, we donate a portion of all of these sales. You're microdosing, you're helping you out. You're also helping to fund a healing grant for our heroes. And let me end on this super high note because a couple people posted on my, when RFK said, hey, 12 months, psychedelics for veterans. Why not all of us? Listen to me. That's what I want. Healing shouldn't be reserved for veterans only or whoever. Trauma is trauma. If something is hurting you, it's hurting you. And that's significant, and you deserve to heal. So if I don't say this enough, let me say this right now. My mission is to heal anybody who seeks it. But the closest alligators to my boat, my squadron mate, my friends, the people I know are veterans, first responders, and their family members. So let me be blindingly clear, man. Civilians, everybody deserves to heal. So not just veterans. So let me clear up some of those pokes too. Like, hey, why not everybody? I'm like, duh. But if I gotta go where the iron's hot, and the iron is hot for, hey, let's try and heal our veterans. Okay. All right, folks. So Solo Whiz, if you stayed with me this long, you deserve a medal. Hell, I don't even like hearing me talk this long, but I appreciate it. Follow me on Instagram at official Whiz Buckley. Make sure you look at one of the highlights or whatever, man. Real quick. This lady, of course, from Romania or whatever, texts me like, hey, you sent a video to me and demanding money. Your name's Jonathan. You're stationed in Iraq. It's an AI video, folks. So doing these podcasts and having, AI can take 5 minutes of my voice and my mannerisms, and they're making fucking videos. It's so sad. These women, they're being scammed. There's only one, sadly, me, right? Or thank God there's only one me. There's only one dude with this ugly mug on the planet, but apparently use Google image search. I respond to these ladies. I'm like, man, what do you want me to do? I don't live in Uganda and my name's not, it's just, it breaks my heart that these ladies reach out like, hey, I just found this profile. Your name's not this. And you were supposed to be in Brazil last week to marry me. I sent you 20 grand. I'm like, oh my God, please. So at official Whiz Buckley, that's it. And then obviously No Fallen Heroes on YouTube, and always Top Gun Options, man. We just knocked out a great full throttle this week, made some good money on these volatile markets. We put a bullish on America trade out into the future and got bullish, sadly or not, on Raytheon. You got to buy the defense contractors, man. Israel's out of WEPs. We're out of WEPs. And I remind people that's how I trade. Half of me is Whiz, spiritual, I don't want war. And then at Top Gun Options, man, I'm going to turn into Gordon Gekko. You want a friend, Whiz? Get a dog. You're here to train people how to make money. I mean, if the world's going to be miserable, I'm going to make money doing it. And that's my job at Top Gun Options. I make no apologies for that, especially since we throw a lot of that money over the fence into the foundation. Okay? God bless you. You are blessed. You have survived every one of your worst days. I promise you, God loves you. I love you, even if we don't agree or if I triggered you. So have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you're hedged in this volatile market. Fights on and namaste. Whiz out.